early. Thank you very much. So once again, if you are here live, you will see my Facebook uh, live video. Please go to my little profile and share this video. You'll be much appreciated because we wanted to share the message to everyone out there that we can learn. So let's be patient. We have about 5 minutes to go. Thank you very much for coming in early. Wanted to share the message to everyone out there that we can learn. So let's be patient. We have about 5 minutes to go. Thank you very much. So there are like 23 of you now tonight, and it's a very warm night, I must say. So we have news that there will be some relaxation in the circuit breaker starting from 12th of May, I believe. But I guess working from home and doing virtual events and meetings will still carry on. So if you are a leader today and you are leading a team and you run out of ideas for team building, icebreaker, facilitation, this might be for you. Of course, there are hundreds and thousands of ways to engage your people. These are just suggested ways. So the takeaway today would really be finding out what works for you and your comfort level, and then install a little bit of creativity onto it. You might want to modify it. You may want to even use tech to further enhance it. So the sky the limit. So just stay tuned for a little bit, and I think in about 3 minutes we're going to begin. So once again, if you're just logged on, please be advised that we are live on Facebook right now. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A later. And can I request all of you, please go to my Facebook profile if you know me, and go to Tim Hammond's Facebook. If you know him, just share that video. Just share that video, because I'm very sure that he has shared the same video. So please share the same video to your friends so that we can get more engagement. Right now I can see the 8 people on Facebook, and we have 35 and counting. So we are about to begin very soon. Do you know a very interesting statistics is that the people who sign up for webinar and versus the number of people who actually showed up, it's about 0.55 to 0.6. That means 100 people sign up for your seminar, only 55 or 60 people at the most will come. So that is a statistic. So we have close to 100 So I guess maybe the max will be 50, 55 people. Again, I'm very thankful for 36 who are here. All right, tonight it's a quiet night. It's the third seminar in 30 hours, and I'm going to really take a break after today. So tonight I go slow, just like everybody goes slow, right? We have 1 more minute to be live, so please share our live Facebook video. All right, we're going to begin very, very soon. So if you are here early, you can type in your chat box. Have you ever tried doing more than 3 icebreaker or team building activity in your virtual meeting for the last 1 month? All right, so that it's the question I want to ask everyone. So please key into the chat box, and then I will begin. So a very good evening to one and all. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Andrew Chow. So these are some of the house rules. Please look up for our live video, and if you are sharing it, kindly share it with your own introduction. And don't forget the hashtag virtual events. If you have any questions for either of us, you can post it onto the Q&A box. And if you just want to have a chat, I think it's great that you can just key in the things you want to say. And unfortunate thing is that I can't see it, so I need Team's help to look at the chat box later on to tell me what is going on. All right, after my presentation. So I will begin the presentation right now, and I'll hand the time back to Tim. He will have other surprise for you guys. Okay, so this is my LinkedIn profile. So if you have a mobile right now, you can scan my code and let's get connected on LinkedIn immediately. All right, I will accept all of you very, very soon once I am back on my phone. I want to inspire all of you with this video. This is a very amazing startup team in KL. My very, very good brother friend, he is leading this team right now, and look at what they have done for team building. Okay,
we are doing something really fun. Basically, it's going to be called the Steamboat Social. We will all cook the steamboat and eat together. Yeah? Everybody's okay with that? Okay, it's good. Behind it. Behind me. Alright, team. Let's eat. Yeah, makan. Makan.
Okay, so you guys now have some idea of any team building.
Something really fun.
Okay, so you guys have an idea now that a team building can be very fun, and it depends on the culture of the company. So you can do a lot of things alone together, and that is the spirit of togetherness right now in the midst of COVID. So in any virtual team building or icebreaker event, I think it's important to designate a leader. Anyone can be a leader. So if you're a leader, you can appoint someone else as a leader. And of course, there must be a clear-cut time limit of what every event, how long every event should be, and get ready a lot of collaboration and screen sharing too. That is very important. So it depends on how tech savvy the whole team is. So the first icebreaker that I want to introduce to you is a peek at each other's home. So you can designate like 5 to 10 seconds. Everybody got to on the camera, whether you're on virtual background or not, to show something about your house. So that actually give people a glimpse of your living environment. And I think that will foster uh, closer engagement and comradeship among the whole team itself. There is an icebreaker that you can play. That is you can play the desert island game, where you can choose 7 objects that you really need to survive on the island. So and you have to explain why. Now, now this is very easy to do, and the reason why you do that is that everybody will have different necessity. So the 7 items that you choose actually speak a lot about yourself. You can have everybody say 4 things and only 3 are correct, 1 is wrong, and then everybody got to guess it. So it is a great way to know each other in a very intimate way. And of course, you can always showcase a dated picture 10 years ago versus now. All right, they're like a world of difference. Okay, so make sure that if you do that, you're gonna have a wow factor. That is very, very important. So once again, if you just come in, please share our live video on my Facebook page, and it'll be much appreciated. So let everybody know and put some comments. All right. So if you have played something like that before or anything that I listed, please comment onto the chatbot itself. Of course, you can share your bucket list. Be very, very creative. That you can share a bucket list in this particular circuit breaker or lockdown period, depending on which country you're from. And of course, you can always share your bucket list when you are done, when things go back to normal, right? So you can also play this build a storyline, and that is everybody open the same Google Doc in the same place, and everybody take a number. So one person will write the story line by line. So for example, there are 20 of you, and they have taken number 1 to 20. So the first person will write the first line, and the second person will continue writing the second line, and then you build a story onto it. So there is no right or wrong. Everybody is given 20 seconds to write. So you can even write 3 or 4 stories. So it's amazing that how the group can foster creativity just by contributing to the same story. All right, and of course, you can also play an icebreaker where everybody prepares something that you own and you tell a story out of it. Something that you've been keeping for a long time, or something that been given to you as a present, and it has great sentimental value. You want to share it? By all means, go ahead. All right. And of course, you can also play a. This requires more brain power, where you need to strategize. So, for example, there's a problem, there's a crisis, like let's say your airline and there's a crisis. All right. So how would your PR team be able to craft a press release to the media? So it tests everybody's creativity on how you come up with an apology, how you come up with a plan to manage a media, and so on and so forth. So it sparks a lot of creativity. The reason why you need icebreaker is that you need to create something fun before you get to something that's serious. So far too often, a lot of leaders, they go straight into business. They go straight into something that's important without mentally warming up everybody. So an icebreaker or a team building event really can break the ice. So icebreaker is something you do before a meeting, and a virtual team building is a meeting devoted to collaboration and team bonding. So you can also look at you can also play another game, look in the future. I'm not sure whether you have ever played this game. It is that everybody try to come up with a tagline about the future of the company, the future of the group. What is it that you see of the group in the future? What is the thing? What is the vision? What is the imagination that you have right now? And it's awesome because that actually sets the vision for the group itself. So you can play this game. Everybody can ask anybody you want one question. So what I really want to ask Eric is whatever you want to ask. So you can form your own list, and everybody has a chance to ask one person. Of course, the same person sometimes may have to answer multiple times, depending on how likable or popular he is, right? And of course, you can play charade. Charade is nothing new, and in fact, there are actually some sites that you can play charades too. All right. You can actually have a team building just based on somebody being asked to be a referee of a match, or with a calculator, and the first person start with a number, and the next person is supposed to add to some numbers, and the third person maybe multiply another number. So if you have 10%, you go one round, and everybody is supposed to mentally calculate the results without the calculator. And of course, we have to see whether at the end of it, anybody get it, did the whole team get it correct, or did the last person get it correct, right? So no calculator allowed is a very fun maths problem. And of course, if you are leading a team with everybody around the world, you can have a world map where people can pin their location onto the world map itself. So, and then you can actually draw a line to link up everything, all the cities. So it could be a very interesting map, right? This is a very funny game where when you have a meeting, when everybody is involved in the same gallery, and everybody take turn to call out somebody's name, and when you are when and you're supposed to point to the direction where you see the person on your own gallery view. So you would see that everybody is pointing to different direction, and it's actually kind of funny. It makes a very cute kind of collage. Excuse me. So the perfect vacation is something that you can share your best holidays. I think everybody need to share a screen because we can't travel right now, and that give us a lot of motivation. So I did this icebreaker with another group just last week, and it was quite awesome. So instead of sharing us, put it as a virtual background instead. So everybody can see everybody virtual background with the vocation. You can play scissors, paper, stone. All right. You can actually divide into we have 20 people. You can divide into 10 rooms, and then best of three. The winner will play with another winner until you got an eventual winner. So and of course, whoever lose, you can think of a forfeit. Meeting need not be just internal; it can be external. So having a hashtag that only you know is very important. And I think that sometimes when you have a series of virtual events, and when you check back with the hashtag, you get a lot of memories of the wonderful things that are being shared, and the pictures being taken along the way itself, right? So you can also play this game. Never have I ever. Never have I ever. What did you not? What have you not done before, right? So you can play this game, and next time you can check back again. Did anybody accomplish what you have said you have never ever done before? So this is something that the team can get to know one another better. All right, something that you have never tried. All right. If you have more time, everybody can be assigned by the leader, maybe in the last meeting, to do a 1 minute book review. I think it's awesome. Whether you got a physical book or you have an online book, I think that would make everybody wants to read more. Especially now, staying at home, you have a lot of time. Seemingly a lot of time, and you can share the hyperlink with each other. You can also play this game, Alien Have Landed, that when alien have landed, how can you use three things to explain to an alien what life is like right now, right? So that has to do with how you perceive what we are going through right now. So if an alien were to be in front of you, what are the three things on Earth you can use to explain to him what life on Earth is all about? This is a list of service level conversation starter. Now, guys, don't worry. Tomorrow, when you get an email from me at 8 p.m., this deck will be available to all of you. So don't worry that you can't read all the fine print. These are just examples I'm giving you. This is just a start. So kindly do your own research. Take this deck and add to it. Really add to it. Okay. So you can actually have a more personal level conversation starter. All right. Record the best days of our life and what is it so good, and what about the worst day in your life? What is it so bad? So things like that. So a leader can always start out with good conversation, and I think if you're in sales, this is also a good practice. Whenever your salespeople go out and meet somebody online, these are some of the things that you can practice as well. So I'm done with the shorter session one. So you have more time. You can even have a movie night together. So This is for a longer session where everybody decide that you choose a movie you're gonna watch, and one person can share the screen, everybody watch together. So I personally love certain movie from Netflix. The Art of Racing in the Rain, Animal World, Lucy, The Two Pope, Always Be My Baby. And of course, you after that, people can share what the movie really mean to them, and you can chat while the movie is going on at the same time. So if you want to do something different, I think you have a if you have a movie night, I think you'll be awesome. Record the best company event and what does it mean to you. It's also another good way because everybody remember best moment very very differently. So make sure that everybody share a lot of different pictures, right? So if you just log on, please share our Facebook live video. All right. And this is a very interesting one. This one requires traffic jam, requires you to set up a second camera, and whoever volunteer to be the facilitator, all right, get to move the pieces around. So basically, the game goes like this: that see how fast everybody can solve the puzzle. So you have uh, two groups of name, everybody's name on the same line, but there's a gap in between, and you're supposed to move one team across to the other side, likewise the other team over to this side. All right, so these are the rules. Move one step at a time, and everybody must call the name of the person who's going to move. You can of course use different objects. This one requires you to have a second camera, and I think it requires people to really bond together to solve a puzzle, right? So this is the site I want all of you to go and look at it. Flippt.net. This is a free site where it requires Google Sheet to create a lot of this random style. So you can have a spin the wheel, you can have randomizer, you can have a quiz show entirely written in Google Sheet. So then when you download the template itself, you can key in your desired question, and it goes from there. So this is something I just found out about 2 hours ago, and I really encourage all of you to join in to actually take note of this site itself. Wine and coffee session. So you may not be able to have steamboat. I think this is one of the most common team bonding activity you can do. So if you're a wine kind of connoisseur, just make sure that everybody has the same wine, and then you can talk about it. So you can of course do a lot of this very easily and casually. Now if you have more time, you can play the online Pecha Kucha. So everybody takes 20 slides and make it into a PowerPoint, and you have 5 seconds for each PowerPoint. You can time it, and then you're supposed to tell a story in 100 seconds. So this is a good way for self-instruction, because just by listening to somebody do a video about themselves or talk about themselves for a minute is kind of boring. So you can pre-assign topics, or you can make it as a self-introduction kind of activity. So Pecha Kucha is a Japanese word. It means chit-chat. Okay. So this is just a suggestion on how to organize a Pecha Kucha. I will not touch on it. So you can, this is an expensive exercise. So you can, if you're a leader, you want to surprise everyone, you can have a kind of gift exchange where everybody is supposed to go online and buy an item, let's say for 10-20 bucks. You're supposed to send it to another colleague of yours. So you get a surprise in a few days of a small gift that you can receive. I think this is something very meaningful, especially when it comes to the end of the quarter, end of the year reward. You can do all this to surprise everyone. I'm coming to the end. So all these, the rest of the few slides require activity. You can do a group workout. You can do a circuit training. I think that will be very healthy, and everybody change your workout gear and then use an iPad or mobile, mount it on a little tripod facing you while you're on the floor mat doing exercise. And everybody take turn to lead an exercise. That will be awesome. That will be the everybody stay healthy, keep fit, and it's actually best if your team is less than 10 people, because it can be very strenuous if you're 30 people. So you can of course do a mindfulness game. Actually, this is not a game at all. This is an exercise. So you don't have to always do things do it in a rah-rah way all the time. You can actually have a mindfulness exercise. So I learned this from someone that you can let everybody close their eyes while you play a music for 1-2 minutes, and when the eyes are open, you can ask everyone to share 5 things they can see while the eyes are closed, 4 things they can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. So be very, very creative. I think mindfulness is something that everybody needs. How often you have a group meditation or group uh, breathing exercise? I think if you're a leader, instead of performance, you also want to make sure that their wellness is also being taken care of. So that's it. I have one more activity for virtual debriefing. So when you debrief something, these are the 6 questions that you can ask, but you can do it in a very creative way. So this particular slide itself give you a little bit more depth about the questions you can ask. So whatever activity they are done, just do it for the sake of doing. Ask people to share what they feel, what they think, and what they plan to do in the future. I think that is what the essence of it is all about. So the leader is very, very important, and I can't emphasize enough. So I just want to share to you that this is a very powerful exercise that everybody can choose a natural uh, mandalas to share about why, how they think of this whole activity, how they think of the world, how they think of the present situation. And I think having something made from nature and it's so authentic really bring people down to a level of open, frank, authentic communication. So you need, of course, somebody to visual record everything. And this is a seminar that I've done last night, all right, on digital transformation. These are one of my points. I was talking about digitization, digital disruption, or digital transformation. And so good that Tim Heyman was there to put this all together all for me. And my second point is 5 things you need to learn in the future. So he had captured these 5 points: digital agility, data analytics, cybersecurity, entrepreneurship, and service orientation. All right. The last point I make was you need to have a personal development roadmap. So it's nicely put out everything for me, very, very nicely. So this is our next speaker. All right, I'm done for the night. I know that I cover a lot of things very fast, but don't worry. Tomorrow you get this deck. This is Tim Haven. He's a virtual visual engagement strategist. He does workshops, and he's a keynote speaker. He's also author of the best-selling book, The World of Visual Facilitation. So this is the QR code for his LinkedIn. So please connect with him right now. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do it, and I will hand the mic over to him very soon. So if you have any questions for me, please put it in the Q&A. I will come back to you to answer at the end of the session. And please continue to engage us on our Facebook. So, Tim, over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. Welcome, everybody. How many of you today are tuning in from Singapore? I'm Tim from Singapore, and thanks, Andrew, for the great introduction. It's been my privilege to know Andrew for many years through the Professional Speakers Network. Andrew was always very generous with his sharing and his learning. I also see him as quite a good thought leader in terms of presenting models and usable frameworks to support teams, to support individuals in terms of branding, for engagement, for understanding who they are so they can be more effective in moving forward. So that's a little bit of the context how I've come to know Andrew. And in line with that, he's always been a big fan of the visual tools, which is what we do, is visual tools. And he shared a few of what we did with the session, previous session, some of the live drawing. So what I want to share with you today is some really simple things. Introduction, which is 3 whys. Why visuals can support you in a virtual environment. And those are contrast, engagement, and inclusion. And then after that, we're going to show you a couple of tools, 3+ tools on ways that you can engage with visuals in your online team platforms with drawings, with templates, and visual props. And then after that, some Q&A. Great. So that's our kind of face-to-face agenda. But just let me tell you really quickly about the 3 whys. Is number 1 is 9 out of 10 people say, I can't draw. On top of that, 90% of the information in the world has been created in the past 9 years. In the past 3 years, 90% of all information is visual. So we've got an overload of visual information, and 9 out of 10 people say, I can't draw. When you say you can't draw, you cut yourself off from perhaps your greatest opportunity for thinking and for problem solving. Visuals and drawing help people to think and connect. And that's even more challenging in the virtual space where we don't have the face-to-face connection. We don't have those subtle nonverbal cues that we are used to in a virtual platform. So, and there's even a bit of neuroscience on this that I just read an article, is that it's something to do with multitasking. In a Zoom space like this, if you're engaging with the team, you have 9 people, 12 people, and then maybe even more. You don't know where to look. You don't know what to look for. So there's that disconnect of focus. It's kind of similar to multitasking, and that creates some disengagement and some confusion. So we're overloaded with information. We're overloaded with online information. We need to connect and engage. And on top of that, our attention span is diminishing while information is exploding. Here's my little alternative to a slide, is a simple card here, but our friend the goldfish has a higher attention span than you and I, the person in the mirror, of 9 seconds to 8. So we have all of these challenges combined with the online space. So we had the privilege of working with Alibaba a few years ago, and a 2-year sort of leadership preparation and scenario planning. And at the end of that 2-day program, this short, meek little man who's the director of the company went to address his team, and then he said to his team, he says, I want you all to be more like them. And he pointed to our team as we were drawing visuals on the wall. He says, they are helping us to see the future. Their work is a gift to us. So I want you just to consider that context of the value of a simple picture that you can bring into your room in terms of a visual agenda such as this, some kind of card, perhaps it's a drawing on a tablet, or even marking onto your slide. So that's what we're going to do a little bit now. So I've been working, as Andrew said, with teams for over 20 years, communicating and creating strategies and stories. Our brain loves stories. So point number 1 is contrast, right? Visuals create some contrast. If you're seeing a lot of slides all the time, your brain will switch off. Creating a drawing, creating an interactive tool creates contrast. Our brains get lit up by something that is different. It creates that curiosity. And point number 2 is engagement. Less is more. We need to slow down our content and be more of a facilitator, as Andrew said, to be more of a, engaging through facilitation and through different kind of activities. So visuals help you to create that engagement. It helps to slow down on the content and increase on the engagement and on the connection. And number 3 is, how do we connect with the whole person? So we love stories. Drawing visual notes, as Andrew showed you, is a way to create some of that connection and visualization and storytelling and movement. So some of the 3 tools that I want to show you is, number 1 is simple drawing. So I'm going to show you something on my screen first to show you an example of how you can tell a story with visuals. Can you all see that? Great. So this is a tablet. You could draw on a tablet. You could have a PowerPoint that you draw onto a PowerPoint. But really simple, you see some simple graphics here, and it says ways to manage fear. We certainly could agree that there's lots of fear in the world today, collectively, individually. And that creates, dark clouds of confusion. What do we do? How do we move through it? But through some simple reframing of what do we thinking about? What do we say? What are our words? And then to write these down, to get them out of our head and onto paper, and then ask some critical questions around that. Are my thoughts empowering me? Are my words empowering me? Or are they holding me back? And then what can I do about it? What are the actions that I can take to overcome my fear and help me to fly again? So that's just a simple example of having a slide, having some content that you then mark onto it. You can also have a simple card like this. An icebreaker that I love that Andrew said is to tell a story. And a great way to do that is to give people a prompt. Maybe a prompt is, how are you feeling right now? Or what is something positive that you can take away from the COVID-19 situation? Ask a prompt, a question, and then invite people to draw a simple picture. Give them 1 minute. Use some simple icons, simple visual elements, and draw a picture. So I love to create environments where people can grow. So the time in COVID has helped me to create opportunities for creating our visual tools and to grow that in an online space. So using simple tools as a marker and a card. You can ask people to prepare these ahead of time. Any kind of pencil, any kind of card is fine. So I've just shown you one way is drawing. Could be with a simple tool on a card, could be on a tablet or on a slide. You can even, draw something as simple as a Post-it, right? So simple tools that you have around. Number 2 is templates. And do you know what a template is? Here's an example of a visual template. It is a simple drawing that has lots of space, and it has some imagery there that might invite a story or a metaphor. Our brain loves stories. Our brains, in fact, are more engaged by something that is iterative or incomplete compared to something that is finished. That's why if you're using visual tools and you're drawing along with people, that's more engaging than a PowerPoint deck, which is static, which is finished. This is something that is creating together. So this is a reflection that we have for an online workshop that we have on visual tools in virtual environments, a more comprehensive program. And we get people to, in an activity, in a breakout, listening and drawing. So one person is sharing a story, while the other person will capture what they hear and use this visual tool as a way to capture that. And the metaphor here is, of course, a deep sea dive. I'm finding some treasure, and I can write certain points in the bubbles and so on, and some prompting things here. So you could use something like this, send it as a download ahead of time to your team, frame it around a specific question that you want them to consider. Ask them to print it out or use that digitally in some way on a tablet, and to consider a few key questions. And then they can bring that to the meeting, and you can get them in breakouts to discuss what they came up with. Then you can come back into the room and you can harvest these learnings. So here's another example of a template for personal goal setting. You can imagine, if you've ever attended or seen a live balloon launch, it's quite inspiring. It can take your breath away. So you can imagine my goals. I'm launching my goals as if they were a hot air balloon up into the atmosphere. And what are some of the resources and support that I need? What am I grateful for? And what is my vision going forward? You can anchor all of those ideas onto a visual map like this, and it's a story. Our brain loves stories. Stories and pictures are like the 1-2 punch when it comes to engagement. So there's drawing and templates. The other tool here is this one. This is the agenda that I shared. It's nothing more than some simple Post-its, big ones or small ones, depending on what you're doing. Here's, if you have you can use an overhead camera, and then here's an agenda which I shared for another program on an overhead camera. So it's a little bit more simpler to manage than this, but get people drawing. Behind us is a giant agenda for a workshop we do. You can do drawing on a whiteboard. You can have a simple handheld whiteboard like this, where you're drawing and responding to people. This says thank you, obviously. It's drawn and prepared for another session, but you can respond to people and bring it up to the camera like this and invite the host to spotlight that comment or to respond to it. And so another tool is the props. I said hello first of all with this. Another great prop is Andrew's written a couple of great books on service and social learning. Here's a great prop, is a book if this is something you're going to get people to work with. Again, send people things ahead of time, shorten the content and increase the engagement. Send people a link ahead of time to a chapter or to an activity that you want them to engage with and work with, and then have them come to the meeting ready to respond. So you can reference these in a meeting. You can also have these are visual props, as I showed you earlier, simple props like that. And something like this, when you're getting people to reflect, what's your takeaway? What's your gift? What's a treasure that you take away from this conversation, from this meeting? Simple props like that. And here's one that I have up here on the shelf. I can draw. In our workshops, we help people, those 9 out of 10 people that say, I can't draw, we get them into activities where they're creating simple visual stories, like some of the things we've shared, to tell their story as a leader, as a team. What do we need to consider moving forward? What's a key point that I want to present as the presenter? I have content around that. So get people to draw that. And if you have some kind of shift happening, you can prepare that and anchor that with a simple visual tool like that. So there we are, a couple of simple tools: drawing on cards, visual tools and templates. Here's a rocket launching off as a metaphor for, we're propelling into the future. We're creating the future. We have great technology, and what are we discovering along the way? Templates and some simple props, visual engagement. Just using some of the best facilitators tools, Post-its, because they're iterative, they're modular, get people to draw on Post-its. And these visual props. Great. So those are a couple of tools that you can use. And if nothing else to take away, you all will have, if you're presenting something in a meeting, you have content. That's important. I encourage you to take one piece, even if it's just one piece of that content. What's your key model? Your 7-step process, your 4-step process. Take that process and make a simple drawing around it, a simple drawing to frame it. Show that frame, show that model, either like this on a slide, and then add something to it. Our brain loves that. We get curious, we're engaged, we're part of the story with you. Instead of you as the leader, I'm now thinking I'm part of that story because I'm creating that with you. And then in that respect, you're becoming a facilitator of that conversation. So I hope that's some powerful learning and some useful tips and ideas. In closing, what I would say is that we are all now in perhaps in the greatest global experiment ever of transitioning all of our meetings, certainly our trainings and workshops, into online spaces. So it's even more important now than ever to connect and create value for your participants, with your teams. And how can we transform what we are doing now? Transform our thinking, transform our way of working to connect better and create more value. And in the process, we're transforming perhaps even ourselves. I believe that. And my gift is to go ahead and just try it. Try something. Try drawing something in your next meeting. If it's if you're a little bit nervous, do it in a team meeting where the stakes are lower. If you're a little bit more bold and ambitious, then try it with a client. And the key is to practice, because whatever you're doing whenever you put pen to paper and share something, remember that every drawing is a gift. Can you remember when you were a child, or perhaps you have children with you, and they come and show you a drawing, and it doesn't matter what that drawing is, what it looks like, how good or how representative it is, it wins your heart because it's the intention, it's a gift. So even however simple your drawing is, people are going to be appreciative that you're doing it for them. You're understanding how they think and learn and how to have more engagement and interaction, and they'll appreciate that. You can say, look, I'm not a good artist, but I'm here trying these new tools to support your learning, because I know this is how we learn. We learn through engagement, through variety. Visuals help to tell us and invite a story. They create engagement and a great anchor for our learning. So that's my 3 whys, 3 tools. And now if there's any questions that anyone has, if there's anything further that you want to see or that you want us to try, we can have a look at that. We can try that. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. I think there is a question for Jared. So, from a time perspective, wouldn't visual facilitation take more time than a typical PowerPoint supported facilitation? If yes, are there more content more suitable for visual facilitation? I think this question is for you. Tim, I think you can read it onto the chat itself.
Okay. Great. From a time perspective, wouldn't visual facilitation take more time? It takes more time to show something like this than it does to just show a slide. But if you noticed, I'm doing this one point at a time, and then I can talk into that. I can share one thought around that, and then I add point number 2, add a thought around that. So the point is, you're creating variety and you're creating engagement, and you're giving people a little bit of break from, slides. If we're on in an online presentation, there's a lot of slides. So content that's more suited for facilitation, I leave that to you. But my invitation is to look at what is a key point. Perhaps you have, in a number of in your presentation, you have a number of slides, and then you have one point that you want them to take away. What is that key? You can do that in a drawing. You can anchor that at the end as a card. You can draw it here. You can draw it on your tablet or on a whiteboard, or use a way, or put that into a slide and then add the key words onto your slide like I did in the demo. So think of one piece that is more key that you want them to take away and remember.
Yes. So I'd like to add to what Tim has said. I think manual facilitation give people time to think about something, because everything is so fast. I think before the thoughts can keep up with the facilitator, the next point is already due. So I think we need to allow people some time to digest what is going on, to reflect on things. So sometimes to slow down a little bit and make it a little bit more interactive, intrinsic, and will enable people to share even more openly. Because the problem with today, there's too much tech and there's no human touch involved. And for lack of a better word, sometimes when you use a manual way, it just you can stun your client. When you do a manual way, actually it's so different, and it makes the client look at your presentation with a bit more hard. So I see that it's not it's not something to be compete with technology. It's something that makes you more human, depending on the objective of the whole meeting is all about. So sometimes for bigger group, you may not be able to do that. You may need to use a lot more technology, but I think as a facilitator, you need to be creative, because
Yeah.
if not, then there's no role for the facilitator. It's to allow people to think and to curate good information. Yep. So yeah. So Cheryl Tay says, don't forget group singing icebreaker. Yes, of course. Group karaoke.
Yeah.
There are a lot. It's so obvious. I didn't even put it there. There are so many things you can do. So there are some things you can do with friends, some things you can do with your own team, some things you can do with a group of strangers. So it's your comfort level and the team spottingness, if I may use the word. So it depends a lot on the leader. All right, and that is why we are doing this, because if we treat every meeting as a business as usual meeting, it's going to be very dry, and and I see virtual team building as a good way to ask everybody, how are you doing? Because everybody now have a chance to share how are they doing. I think that is very important, because every one of us handle loneliness, handle working alone differently, and I think it's about time we give people space to share what is in the heart. So I feel that maybe I'm not saying it's always better, but I think many ways sometimes break the mold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope I answer your question, Gerald and Jesse. All right. So we are trying our new way to keep the time, because this webinar is 1 hour, but we're doing it now in 45 seconds or less. Yes. How are you doing? So maybe I want to give you a chance. Anybody want to share how are you doing today? Raise your hand. I will on your mic so that you can speak. Anybody wants to share how are you doing today, and you can use something at your house to represent how you're feeling today. Maybe you want to tell a story about something. Let's practice what we have learned today or tonight. All right, anybody want to share something? Raise your hand. I will on your mic and you can speak to us. Anyone? Okay. All right, we have a guest here.
Piyush.
Hello, push. Okay, come, let's
Um,
let's start.
thanks, Andrew, for your nice icebreakers. I loved it, and thanks, Tim. You told us the visual methods. I'm also a visual thinking coach, and I live in the Netherlands. And today, my day started with talking to one of my friend, Divya, and we were discussing about our next webinar, in which we were brainstorming on how we can show people the project management ways, the visual ways to deal with project management, and it's a jamming session, free jamming session.
Hmm.
So that really activated my brain. And after your call, we will be again going on our call to design that session so that it has more value to people. So I think this day has been very lucky to me. The discussion with Divya, and now I'm hearing Andrew and Tim. So it's a very activated day for me.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks
Great. Thank you.
for thanks for tuning in, and thanks for asking question. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Tim.
Okay, so anybody else? Anybody else want to share? So if there's no questions, I would like to conclude this whole webinar to a close early. I think we have about 15 minutes already, and the slides will be shared to you in an email, and this recording will also be recorded. So take my slide, and go and explore. Tell us what is your finding. It's some of them working or some of them needs fine tuning. We are very open. To be honest, I compiled this from everywhere, and some of them are my ideas, and there's really no copyright. So please use it, and please have fun with your team. So on behalf of Tim and myself, all right, I would like to say a good night to everybody. Tonight we are closing early, and thanks everyone. All right, Jenny just say thanks, and John. All right, so if you like what we have, please share in the comments, and please share comments on your Facebook. We are closing up very soon, and thanks for being here. Tonight is the third webinar in 30 hours. I'm taking a break for now for a few days before I do the next one. So really, thanks for being here. Oh, there's 2 Q&A.
I can share one more tip.
Wait. Hold on. Cole, okay. Sorry. We are not closing yet. Sean says this. Any recommendation? How long should an online session be?
I'd say not more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
What would you say, Andrew? Yeah.
Yeah, not more than 2 hours, and even in 2 hours, if it is a team meeting, you have to have a break, because no
Yes.
one can stand 2 hours non-stop. All right. Another one from Luxor is that what about storytelling? Any good tips on storytelling? So I think this question is more for you, because you can use animation as a storytelling with 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 a video from you, with a live video from you, and you can use animation. But that takes a lot of preparation than a manual one. So if you ask Tim will say you can prepare some props beforehand. You can fill in the blank as you talk the story. So there are many ways, right, Tim? Tim, you want to fill it up?
I can share. Yeah, thanks. That's a great question. Storytelling is a presenter's, like, your secret weapon. You know, our brains love stories. Our brains are more engaged by story. As a presenter, your gift is to tell a compelling story. Give a personal example of your model or tool. I mean, Andrew's great at that, sharing examples. In this case, he's doing more like tools, but in his every other presentation, there's a model and then a personal story, and that's a good way to look at presenting content. But something that I've done to combine visual tool with storytelling is a simple activity. Is you get people to draw a line, any kind of line, draw a line or a shape on a page, and then pass it to someone else and have them add some content to it, right? And then to someone else, add some detail to it, and then get someone else to add some movement or context, and then someone else to write a word. And I'm just creating this as I go here. And then give it back to the next person and have them tell a story. So I have yet to try this, to be honest. I've yet to try this in a virtual context, but we've done this face to face. So you could have everyone, draw a simple picture, and then get them in pairs, add something to that picture, and pass it to another, and then add something else. And then the key then is, once you have this, is to tell a story. So we could ask people to tell a story about, in a team, how do we feel about working virtually? How does it feel understanding the different tools and technologies? What's going on with that? Again, how does this affect our client, engagement and our client relationships? Any kind of thing like that, using a simple visual tool to activate a story. It just works through association. A picture, an element, a word, you can respond to that and begin to tell a story. So this is a simple visual way to invite people into a story about something more complex.
Yes. In one of my earlier example, I actually talk about storytelling through words. You can combine using a word, using a Google document. You can also use a drawing tool that everybody join in to add to it. So you don't have to always do manual, but you can do it online. But the thing is that every team member will have to open 2 or 3 different browsers to look at a few different tools. So I think it's excellent. You can also use whiteboard, of course, but whiteboard it's a too much of open tool. So there are a lot of good tools out there that is very fun. Let's say you want to play a spin the wheel thing, and there's already tools out there that you can download, become a Google Sheet, key in all your names of your teammates, and then you can do a spin the wheel. So there are a lot of technology that can make it fun. You just have to learn along the way. So be it tech or manual, the creativity is still there. You still have to learn a skill, be it a tech skill or creativity storytelling skill, right? So
Yes.
yeah. So I hope that all the answers now. Okay, so Ragnar has another question. Ragnar, if you're trying to engage your audience with some question to get them to share in the chat room, but they don't respond, what should we do? So for me, I will do a quiz, and I will always design the quiz. Uh, um, Beforehand, I can use Mentimedia, I can use Quizzy to pre-design the quiz. That is just in case nobody answer me, I will activate the link and everybody can go in and just talk through tag, all right? And then the answers will be out there and nobody knows who says what. So this is this is my little idea. I always have a backup in case nobody wants to talk. All right. So what about you, Tim?
Sorry, I was typing in something, so I was a little bit preoccupied.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, what if you are trying to ask a question to
Hmm.
the people and nobody respond? What do you do?
Well, then, as a good facilitator, would have another way of asking that question or another question. Maybe that's feedback that your question was not clear or it didn't land, with the participants, not relevant or not relevant to them at the moment. So have another question or ask it a different way. Yeah. Or you can call on someone that you know better. If there's someone that you know in the audience, who you can invite them to participate is the other uh, way to fall back on that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea because always have one or two people that you plan as a mole to start the ball rolling. Because if it's not cold, I think it's going to be tough. So these are some of the things that as you get more experience, you'll get to encounter it. So you'll be your own judge of the kind of question. So sometimes early in the morning, that's why you need an icebreaker. You need to start with something simple, easy for people to share before you get to the serious stuff. If you
Yeah.
start the morning with something very heavy and very serious, you're not going to get a lot of response. That's my experience. Okay, so it's 9 o'clock, and I think we have to bring to a close. Thank you very much, and we will send in we're sending the slides tomorrow at 8 o'clock when you have the meeting. And right now, Tim and I want to say good night and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone. Good night. Every drawing is a gift. Remember, this is a good phrase to take back. Bye bye.